The Deer Without a Heart is a fable about a deer tricked by a jackal into visiting a sick lion, who then eats the deer. When the lion asks the jackal what happened to the deer's heart, the jackal claims the deer couldn't have had one, as only a senseless creature would enter a lion's den. The fable illustrates the belief that the heart was the seat of intellect and thought, with the story's humor arising from the jackal's clever excuse for his own dishonesty. The story, a deceptive trick. The tale begins with a powerful lion, the king of the forest, who has grown old and weak. No longer able to hunt as he once did, he finds himself confined to his den, growing ever hungrier with each passing day. Beside him is his loyal, yet cunning, servant, a jackal. The lion, desperate for a meal, devises a plan and shares it with the jackal. He instructs the jackal to find a way to lure a naive animal into his den, promising a share of the kill. The jackal, ever the opportunist, agrees and sets out on his mission. He soon spots a large, unsuspecting deer grazing peacefully in a meadow. Approaching the deer with an air of grave concern, the jackal puts on a performance of deep sympathy. He tells the deer that their mighty king, the lion, is gravely ill and lies on his deathbed. The jackal explains that the lion has appointed the deer as his successor, wishing to pass on his wisdom and the secrets of the kingdom before he departs. The deer, flattered by this incredible honor and completely oblivious to the deception, is easily persuaded. Filled with pride and a sense of self-importance, the deer agrees to follow the jackal to the lion's den to pay its respects and receive the king's final counsel. The cunning jackal, having successfully baited his trap, leads the foolish deer directly towards its doom. The lion's attack, as the deer and the jackal arrive at the mouth of the dark cave. The deer hesitates for a moment, a flicker of unease passing through it. But the jackal quickly reassures the deer, urging it to enter and greet the ailing king. The deer, casting aside its momentary doubt, steps into the gloom of the lion's den. Inside, it sees the lion lying on the ground, appearing weak and frail. As the deer bows its head in a show of respect, the lion, who had been conserving all his remaining strength, suddenly springs forward with a mighty roar. In one swift and brutal motion, the lion pounces on the unsuspecting deer, killing it instantly. The attack is so sudden and ferocious that the deer has no chance to react or escape. The lion, however, is so exhausted from this final burst of effort that he collapses, panting and needing to rest before he can enjoy his meal. He instructs the jackal to guard the carcass while he recuperates, reminding his servant to not touch a single bite. The jackal's dishonesty. The jackal, left alone with the freshly killed deer, is overcome by his own hunger and greed. The aroma of the kill is intoxicating, and his stomach rumbles. He knows the lion has forbidden him from eating, but the temptation is too strong to resist. The jackal circles the deer's body, his eyes gleaming. He decides to take just a small, special morsel for himself, something the lion might not miss. In many ancient traditions, the heart was considered the most delicious and vital part of an animal. With swift precision, the jackal tears into the deer's chest and devours the heart, savoring the rich prize. Having satisfied his immediate craving, he carefully licks his jaws clean, ensuring no trace of blood remains. When the lion finally recovers his strength and is ready to feast, he approaches the deer's carcass. As a predator, he knows the choicest parts, and he immediately begins his search for the heart. The lion's suspicion. The lion tears open the deer's ribcage, fully expecting to find the tender heart within. To his bewilderment and growing anger, he finds the cavity empty. He searches frantically, pushing aside organs and turning the carcass over, but the heart is nowhere to be found. The lion lets out a furious roar that shakes the very walls of the den. He turns to the jackal, his eyes burning with suspicion. "Where is the heart?" He snarls, his voice a low growl of accusation. "I killed this deer myself, and every animal has a heart. Did you dare to defy my orders and steal it from me?" The jackal, though momentarily terrified by the lion's rage, maintains his composure. He knows that his life depends on his ability to think quickly and spin a convincing lie. He feigns surprise and confusion, looking at the lion with wide, innocent eyes, as if the question itself were absurd. The jackal's explanation. The jackal, a master of wit and deceit, bows low before the angry lion and delivers his masterful explanation. "Your Majesty," he begins with a voice full of false reverence, "you are wasting your time looking for a heart. This creature could not possibly have possessed one." The lion stares at him, baffled. The jackal continues. "Think about it, my king, if this deer had a heart, which is the seat of all sense and intelligence, would it have been foolish enough to walk into a lion's den? And if by some mistake it did so once, would it have been senseless enough to be tricked a second time into the very jaws of death?" Some versions of the story elaborate on the deer escaping the first attack, only to be tricked by the jackal again with a new lie. In this context, the jackal's question carries even more weight. What kind of brains do you expect from a creature who would come not once but twice into the den of a lion? The jackal argues that only a creature utterly devoid of foresight, wisdom, or even basic common sense, in other words, a creature without a heart or a brain would make such a fatal error. The fables, meaning the lion, though powerful, is not particularly bright. He is completely taken in by the jackal's clever, albeit nonsensical logic. He considers the jackal's words and finds them plausible. Indeed, the deer's actions were incredibly foolish. The lion's anger subsides, replaced by a grudging acceptance of the jackal's explanation. He allows the matter to drop and proceeds to eat the rest of his meal, while the cunning jackal, having filled his own belly and saved his skin, stands by. The story's central moral highlights the ancient belief, prevalent in many cultures from Greece to India, that the heart was not just a vital organ, but the very seat of intellect, consciousness, and courage. The jackal's quick-witted excuse plays on this belief. The humor and cleverness of the fable lie in how the jackal uses this cultural concept to justify his own theft. shifting the blame onto the victim's supposed lack of an intelligent heart. The story serves as a cautionary tale about naivety and a celebration of cunning intelligence, showing how wit can triumph over brute force. Variations, Eastern versions. This fable is an ancient one, with roots stretching across the globe. One of its most famous early iterations appears in the Indian collection of fables, the Panchatantra, dating back to around 300 BCE. In these Eastern versions, the characters are slightly different, typically featuring a lion, a jackal, and a foolish ass. The premise is that the lion is sick, and a physician advises him that the only cure is to consume the ears and the heart of an ass. The lion sends his servant, the jackal, to procure them. The jackal finds an ass and befriends it, promising it a beautiful mate and a life of leisure in a secluded pasture. The gullible ass follows the jackal to the lion, who attacks but only manages to claw off the ass's ears before the terrified animal flees. The jackal, undeterred, goes after the ass and persuades it that the lion was merely trying to embrace it affectionately. Incredibly, the ass believes him and returns, only to be killed. While the lion goes to bathe before his medicinal meal, the jackal seizes the opportunity to eat the ass's heart. When the lion returns and demands to know where the heart is, the jackal gives the same classic excuse. If it had a heart and ears, would it have come back a second time? Arabs. The story also found a home in Arab folklore, where the characters and circumstances shifted once again to reflect cultural nuances. In a prominent Arab version, the tale involves a lion, a fox, and an ass. The ass, in an act of incredible arrogance, approaches the lion, the king of all beasts, and has the effrontery to demand a toll or tax from him. The lion, utterly insulted by this display of disrespect, immediately kills the impertinent ass. He then commands the fox to prepare the ass for his meal. While the lion is momentarily away, the fox, unable to resist temptation, eats the ass's heart. Upon returning, the lion questions the missing organ. The fox, just as in the other versions, cleverly responds by saying that an animal so foolish and insolent as to demand a toll from a lion could not possibly have been born with a heart, as a heart would have given it the sense to know its place.